Hey guys, the Explorer 4 here, Horrorboy465. Welcome back to some more reviews. And today, I know I was supposed to do a review on the Hatchet movies. I was at least going to review the first movie and the second movie. But since I seen this movie the other day, I figured that I would review it while it's fresh in my mind. But yeah, I know that I was supposed to review the Hatchet movies, which those reviews are coming soon. Um, I might be able to review Hatchet 1 tonight. It depends. But I figured that I would review this, like I said, because I had literally seen this yesterday. Went back to the theaters and decided to watch this movie. And of course, this is going to be a spoiler review. Before I get into the video, don't write in the comments, Nate, why did you spoil the movie? This is a spoiler review. It may be in the title, it may not be in the title. I know yesterday I forgot to put that in the title. I apologize for that. But this is a spoiler review, so there will be spoilers in this movie review. If you don't want this movie to be spoiled, go watch the movie and then come back and watch the review. But today I'm going to be talking about, so like I said, yeah, just real quick, yeah, spoiler review. Spoiler review. But yeah, today I'm going to be talking about Alien Covenant. This is a 2017 film, gets a 6.8 on IMDb. Alien Covenant was the first Alien movie I seen in theaters. I did not see Prometheus in theaters. I did not see Requiem in theater. I don't even know if that was in theaters. It might have been in theaters. But this was the first time that I went to go see an Alien movie in the theaters. And I'll be honest, I know that the trailers got mixed opinions. Some people were looking forward to it, some weren't. For me, though, I was really looking forward to it because Prometheus was decent. I thought that it was well directed by Ridley Scott, had a great look to it, had some decent characters, had a decent story. My main issues with Prometheus was probably a little bit of the CGI, I think, and a little bit of the plot, and maybe a little bit of the just how the movie sort of dragged at points, which, in a way, it's like it carries on into this movie. I mean, I think that Alien Covenant is a decent movie. It's not nearly on the level of, like, Alien and Aliens, but it's not as bad as, like, Resurrection. But it's also not as bad as, like, I don't remember hating, or I don't remember, like, I remember a little bit of AVPR, Alien versus Predator Requiem. That I remember thinking that was worse than this movie. I'll be honest. For me though, with this movie, I think that it was a big step up from Prometheus. It's my opinion. I feel like this was it looked even better. It looked like the atmosphere was even better. The effects were even better. Like, I'll be honest, the effects in this movie, they are fantastic. I mean, there's really not one bad effect, and I'm being honest. There's not really one bad effect in the movie that I can think of. So yeah, on that end, I think it beats Prometheus in that. I think that the story was a bit more interesting at times than Prometheus. I thought that even though this movie did drag at points, I felt like it didn't drag as much as Prometheus. So there were some things in this movie that were improved from Prometheus. Even though I think Prometheus is a decent movie, I can actually watch Prometheus and have a decent time with it. I think it's a beautiful film to look at. I think that it's well directed. I think it is decently written. Has some pretty good practical effects in there at points. Some of the CGI effects were done very well for the time that it was made. It wasn't even that long. It wasn't even that long ago. But the effects. Some of the effects. Yeah, some of the CGI in the movie was pretty. You could tell it was fake. But I thought that there was also points where in Prometheus it did have some really good effects. But I don't know, Alien Covenant. It's a very strange movie for me to review because the movie, I think, is very well directed. I think it's very well made. I think it has a decent storyline to it. I think it has a good cast. I think it has some really good character moments. I think that it looks beautiful, it looks great. It's very, very well shot. It was a very cool experience seeing the theaters. This is my first time seeing an Alien movie in the theaters, so excited for that. When the Xenomorph came on the screen, it was very exciting. It was very scary. When you have these earlier scenes where it's sort of like a xenomorph, but like the earlier form of it. Those scenes are very well done. I like the scenes involving, the parasite going, like I said, spoiler alert, but I like the scenes involving the parasite, the dust parasite stuff going in people's noses or the ears, and like later on bursting out of them. Really enjoyed that stuff, and I think there are just some really good points in this movie. I think that overall, it's definitely an improvement over Prometheus. It's still in the pretty decent range. It's not in the great range or the amazing range like Alien and Aliens, um, but it is decent. I do think it's better than Alien Resurrection. I do like this more than I remember liking Alien 3. I haven't seen Alien 3 in a long time. I do remember liking this more than AVP Requiem. Um, so this definitely does beat other movies, either in the Alien franchise or have involved the aliens. Like AVP is a crossover between Aliens and Predator, or Alien and Predator. But if you look at it from this franchise, because with the versus movies, it's like Freddy versus Jason. For me, that counts as both a Freddy movie and a Jason movie. Although I think that movie is a little unbalanced. I think it leans more toward Freddy Krueger than Jason, but I still consider it to be both franchise movies. Um, Same with both the AVP movies. They're both franchise movies. Like AVP is a Predator movie and an Alien movie, so I consider them both in the franchise. I don't know. That's just how I look at the versus movies and stuff like that. But yeah, AVP, Alien Covenant, 2017 film, directed by Ridley Scott. Of course, Ridley Scott is director of the original Alien, director of Gladiator. Really enjoy that movie. I know he made a movie called Kingdom of Heaven, which I haven't seen. He's also director of The Martian, which I really enjoyed. Prometheus, which I thought was decent for what it was, Thought it was decent. Also the director of... Well, he's the producer of Blade Runner, but he's also... Was he the director of Blade Runner? Yeah, he was director of Blade Runner. He's also the director of G.I. Jane. Didn't know that. I know that movie was out, but I didn't know that he directed it. Black Hawk Down, which I really enjoy. Robin Hood in 2010, which I remember liking. So yeah, I'm definitely a bit of a fan of Ridley Scott. I really like the way that his movies look. I definitely feel that this movie is a very well directed and very well shot Ridley Scott movie. And I think what Ridley Scott does very well in this movie that really showcases that he can do this very well, because he did in Prometheus as well, where you get the sci-fi part of things, which is beautiful. The 3D holograms and the maps in 3D, and people flying in spaceships down to this planet and weird stuff, weird planets and stuff like that. But there's also the horror part of things. That Ridley Scott, once he kicks the horror part in, the movie becomes terrifying. And he shows that again in this movie. He showed it in Alien, he showed it in Prometheus, and I think it came back in this movie because there are some crazy AF scenes in this movie. There are scenes that are chilling. There are scenes that are just really disturbing and gross and disgusting. And I'm being honest, that's just what I thought about some of these scenes. Like, literally, when the alien starts attacking people in the theater, I was excited because I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. It was great. Those moments, when it got to those moments in the movie, they were worth the while to sit through. They were just, action-packed and people getting punched and flying over here and it being very dark, but you can still see what's going on, so it adds to the atmosphere. The alien kicking butt, slicing the guy's jaw off, his jaw's just like gone, or the alien, and I already mentioned spoiler alert, but when the alien, because it's different, when the alien is before the actual xenomorph, it's a xenomorph, but it's different. Like, it enters through this, like, dust stuff. It's like a powder or something like that goes into this guy's ear. Another guy, it goes into his nose, and they become infected. But that's later on in the movie. I'll get to that in a second. But pretty much what Alien Covenant story is about. I know this. I know I've been rambling on, but I just was really surprised by a lot of those crazy scenes. Those are definitely some of my favorite moments of the movie. But the movie starts off where, of course, you got the ship, the Covenant, and they have colonists on board. I believe like thousands of colonists, and you found they have like these little tiny babies and these little things. And at the very beginning of the movie, you get a shot of David. Of course, David, the character from Prometheus, the android from Prometheus. Him and Guy Pearce, which is the Wayland, the developer of these androids, they're talking and he's playing the piano and stuff. And then the movie cuts to outer space, get the classic alien credits where, you see them slowly form into the words Alien Covenant. And you get some beautiful shots of outer space with the ship just gliding along, and, the ship has to get more energy, so Walter, it's Michael Fassbender still, but it's a different android called Walter, because David, of course, was stuck on the planet from Prometheus at the end of it. But Walter, he's an android just like David, but he's been modified as a newer android. I believe this was 10 years after Prometheus. This movie, I think, took place 10 years after Prometheus. But Walter is pretty much it's still Michael Fassbender, but he's playing a different android. He also plays Dave in this movie as well. And he's sort of like the android of the ship. Keeps everything in order while everybody else is in hypersleep. And basically one day, this guy was like this like energy waves blast around the ship, and they get out of hypersleep, but one guy doesn't, and it catches on fire and it burns him alive. It's definitely a very different and creepy way to open up the movie, because usually, with the alien movies, you have people they're in hypersleep and they wake up and stuff. Nothing really happens. Well, this time it was surprising because this guy catches on freaking fire and he's burned alive in his chamber, his hypersleep chamber, whatever. And he gets burned alive and dies. I think they said they also lost a few of the colonists as well. And they're pretty much trying to get back to this other planet when they come across a stress signal. This stress signal is actually from the planet from Prometheus. And they pretty much have these plans to go on this planet and check it out and see if they can find any humans. And that's what they do. And that's pretty much where they go on the planet, and the ship gets destroyed that they land on their planet with. Sort of like the mothership is up here somewhere in outer space. They're sort of checking with them through the radio and stuff like that. And before the actual spaceship that goes on the planet blows up, you have a little bit of like some really well done, very well shot scenes of them just exploring this planet. There's wheat, and this guy goes, "Why is there wheat here? This is a non-human planet." And somebody says, "I wonder who grew this." So you can tell there's been life on the planet. And I like how they explore more of this planet. They get to see different parts of it. They see this really crazy looking scene where there's like bodies everywhere. And they walk into this temple kind of place, and there's bodies everywhere. I like that. I also like how they're walking through the forest. You have a great atmosphere of the forest. And basically, there's like these eggs on the ground, these tiny little eggs, and they have this sort of parasite in them. And I love this idea because it's so different than other alien movies. The powder that goes into his ear, and another one goes into his nose. I don't know if that was in Prometheus. I don't think it was. I haven't seen Prometheus in a while either, so I'll have to give it a watch sometime. But I like the idea that there's like parasites, and at least a little bit of an earlier version of the xenomorph. And one guy gets it in his ear, one guy gets it in his nose, and they're going back to the ship, and the guy that has it in, I think, is his nose, or it might have been his ear, I don't remember. He starts getting really sick, and they get him back to the ship. They put him in this place to contain him, but this girl, she got blood on her, so she's stuck in there too. And you have this crazy scene where his back explodes, and this alien pops out of it. It's very gory, practical effects as well, and just a crazy, crazy scene. and this alien like comes to life, and I love how the camera, it's not shaky, like it's not like the camera is shaking with shaky camera stuff. It's not like that, because I know that before there's been a lot of movies I've seen where there's like shaky cam and it's shaking real crazy and stuff like that. But it was like a shaky atmosphere. Like it was a very crazy looking atmosphere. I don't know. It wasn't shaky camera, but it was very intense camera work. And you just do this whole scene, you feel this tension, and it just is unrelenting. And I really enjoyed that. And pretty much from there on, the other guy, the alien just shoots through his mouth. The alien kills these two aliens. They kill a few people, and they find out that David is still alive. And pretty much from there on the movie, they're at this place where David is. And spoiler alert, y'all probably already knew that. I said it 1,000 times. But David is the bad guy of the movie. Now, the movie story I like up to that point, when David becomes the bad guy. Because in Prometheus, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I don't remember David being a bad guy in that movie. I know he was on Wayland's side, but didn't he help the Elizabeth character? You know, or the professor character from Prometheus, Naomi Rapace. Didn't he help her in Prometheus at the end of the movie? And he even says that she repaired him. So I'm like, how is it from one movie to the next? How is David a bad guy? And literally he snaps out of nowhere. It felt like it. You have this scene where Michael Fassbender pretty much kisses himself because David kisses Walter. And I was just like, what the freak is this? And David, you think, kills Walter, pulls something out of his neck or whatever, and Walter comes back to life and fights David. You get a cutaway scene where David's grabbing a knife, and it cuts away. So I'm like, of course, the twist of the movie is that David's still alive. I'm like, of course he is, because he grabbed the knife. Why would they show that if he was going to get killed? And so that was like supposed to be a twist. I didn't get that. I already knew he was the bad guy. Just by the way that, they showed a shot of the knife of David when he's fighting Walter. It shows David grabbing a knife and it cuts away. I'm like, of course he's the bad guy. It's obvious. So that twist I thought was pretty obvious. But just the fact that David is the bad guy of the movie, and the fact that he wins because you found out that he has these eggs in his mouth. He hawks them back up and puts them where the baby, the embryos are, the babies are. And so there's many head crab or face huggers in there. So not head crab, that's Half-Life 2, I know. But face huggers, there's many face huggers in the drawer, and David wins. He walks off. There's even music playing, and all the other characters, they go into hypersleep before they even notice that David is still alive. And I'm like, really? The movie was doing very well up to the point where they said David's the bad guy. And then it goes off the rail. It goes off the track at the end of the movie. The third act is the worst part of the movie because it goes off the rail. And I know it's it's different. And also David could have went crazy because he's been on this planet for so long. Yeah, but it seemed so sudden, and it seemed like it was just so forced. Oh yeah, David's a bad guy out of nowhere. It's shocking, right? Why is he the bad guy, though? There's no point for him being the bad guy, you know? And also, there's an issue where you don't see the actual xenomorph, like a full-grown actual xenomorph, till the end of the movie. That was also pretty lame. I wish they could have fixed that. I mean, it was good seeing the xenomorph finally, and it was very well done. The effect was very well done, but they could have showed it a little bit more. They showed that scene in the trailer, and that's literally a bit of the footage that you actually see of the real xenomorph. Before that, it's a bunch of these, not really xenomorph, but they look like the xenomorphs. They're kind of like the xenomorph, but not really. bunch of them creatures. I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, why don't they show the actual xenomorph? This is an alien movie. But it really did feel like if you took the original, this is just my overall thoughts of this movie. It's decent, it's well shot, it's very well made, but it feels like if you took Prometheus and the original Alien and combined them, and this is what you get. Because it deals with creation and, mutations and creatures before the xenomorph, and it's still a prequel, so it deals with that. But also, this is the introduction of the actual xenomorph, and, I don't know. It's a decent movie, but the ending just ruined it. Not ruined it, but the ending was just bugging me. The last shot of the movie bugged me. The overall just third act bugged me because, like, how is David a bad guy out of nowhere? Maybe he did go crazy, but he's an android. Why is he going crazy on this planet? I get it. Maybe it's because he's a little bit more on the human side, but it just does not make sense to me. And it doesn't make sense to me how Walter dies because he's a more advanced version of David, and how these characters don't even notice that, Walter is acting different. And, oh, they're going into hypersleep, but Walter or David pretty much presses, they go into hypersleep, and the girl realizes at the last moment, oh yeah, you're David, and then falls asleep. I'm like, really? Are you kidding me? I mean, it was just terrible third act. But, however, the third act is horrible. The first two acts of the movie are great. Well shot, well done atmosphere, well directed, well done cast. Ridley Scott really knew how to balance sci-fi and horror and really do it well in this movie. And, for what it is, I mean, it's not as good as, like, Alien 1, but it's still a pretty decent movie. It's a little bit more better than Prometheus, not by a lot, but just a little bit more better. The effects are very well done. It's a beautiful movie to look at. It has a bit of a better of a runtime, but it's still sluggish at points, but not too often. And I don't know, Alien Covenant, I thought that it was decent, I don't hate it. I think it's decent. I would not pick it up on Blu-ray. I'd give it a DVD pickup, but, it's decent. It's decent. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching my review on Alien Covenant, and I will see you guys on the next review. Bye, guys.